Very good afternoon and welcome to MOCA's Heritage Hour session. Our last two sessions were offline in the month of October and November, but we are happy to be back online and to be with all of you this afternoon. Our session today is by a very special friend of the museum, known him for many years, Mr. Pantaleao Fernandes. He's a Goa-based writer, photographer, and ethnographer. He's very passionate about Goa and a vibrant culture. He spends most of his time exploring villages in deep hinterlands to experience firsthand the warm spirit of the villagers. These excursions have brought about a series of books on Goa, including rare portraits, outdoor museums, and traditional occupations. He's a recipient of numerous awards for photography to preserve Goa's art and culture, and is invited to speak at various educational and other institutions across the state. In his most recent book, Holy Pictures from Goa, Pantaleao presents a collection of his grandfather, which spans the images in circulation between 1890 and 1990. That's 100 years. Today, he will be speaking about his process of curating the images for this book and how the images are not only a repository of Christian art, but also of the culture and the people of Goa who had them made to mark various occasions in their life. Before I hand over to Pantaleao to start with the session, I would like to request all of you to keep your audios on mute. If you have questions or feedback of anything that Pantaleao is sharing with us during the session, please put it in the chat box. We will take it up for discussion once he's finished with the presentation. And yes, these are the instructions from my side. And welcome once again to all of you who have just joined in. And over to you, Pantaleao.
Good evening, friends. First of all, let me thank Museum of Christian Art, Natasha and Clive for this opportunity to present my new book and making this event to happen. I am now going to open my book in front of you. This is my new book. And as I open the book, I will be browsing through the pages. And while doing so, I will speak about what struck me, why they came about, why the book came about in the first place. So I will be going through each page and talking about it as it spontaneously as it strikes me. I would like to mention that I am seated in my house, and the backdrop is my altar. Now, there are so many images in the altar which were there in our house for hundreds of years probably, and many of them are again reflected in the book. So that's why I thought that I should sit with the altar in the background. So how did I come across this collection? This is the collection. This is the book. How did I come across? So when I was a little child, I used to keep playing with my grandfather's desk. My grandfather had a beautiful desk filled with treasures, you can say, treasures for me. Various kinds of implements. He was a surveyor, and all his surveying tools I used to play with them. And one fine day, I found a drumstick made out of sesame wood. And I was very happy with these drumsticks, and I started rattling away whatever I could find, the tables, the tins, the cans, and much to the chagrin of my parents, and they said, stop doing it immediately. So I went back to the desk And what did I find there? I was looking for an actual drum there. I said, if there's a drumstick, there should be something to play. And I actually found a round tin, which I thought it was a drum. But when I played the sticks on the drum, it sounded very hollow. Not hollow, it sounded very difficult. So I guessed that it was filled with something and I wanted to empty it out. I tried opening it and tried emptying the tin, but it was packed tight with rust. I took my sister's help and both of us pried it open and out tumbled hundreds of beautiful holy pictures. So that's how I came across the holy pictures. I loved the pictures as a child because I had seen some of the images in the altar behind me. So I loved them, I looked at them, I enjoyed them, and I handed them over to my sister. Decades passed after that, literally. And then I was again going through through my grandfather's items, and I came across this collection again. Now, what happened was when I saw this collection, I had a better look at the collection. The images, I saw that they were all printed, most of them were printed abroad in Italy, in Spain, Germany. They're very, very colorful, very evocative. I also found that on the reverse of the pictures, there were very relevant messages. Most of them were in Portuguese, but being very simple Portuguese, you could understand most of it. And found that the reverse was printed locally. So what was happening was they were buying pictures in bulk from abroad, and people would go to a local press and get their messages printed. So you find a kind of a documentation of different presses that were in existence from 1890. So that apart, there were some poems, there were some devotions, etc., which were very relevant today, but they were not known. So I thought as I was going through it, the pictures cried out to me in a sense, saying, we want to be born in a form of book. And this happens to me this is my 8th book. All my other books also, I never went to make a book. As mentioned, I keep moving around the villages documenting, and when the certain documentation is, I just classify them in folders, and when that folder is kind of filled, that folder says that I can become a book, and that's how the books kind of come out. Same thing happened here. So I went about curating the pictures. I chronologically arranged them, and the first picture was amazingly 1890, and it went on till I said, let me do it only for 100 years. So 1890 to 1990 is the curation. So that's how I arranged them, and once there was a rough semblance of a book, I also had to, of course, translate the messages so that it could be accessible to everyone. So once there was a semblance of a book, I got it bound, I made a dummy. And then I thought, let me kind of pass it around. And what I do usually is I make a dummy and I do a pre-publication sale. Now, what is a pre-publication sale? Is offering the book at a discounted price to people before it is published. So I benefit by collecting the money, and people benefit by getting a reduced price. So I did that. As I was showing the books around, another advantage that is seen is people give suggestions, and most of the suggestions are very valid. Now, a friend suggested that instead of just showing the pictures and the messages, he says, get scholars from different fields to comment on the different aspects of the holy pictures. So I thought it was a good idea, and I did just that. So now I can, so the forward here by the Cardinal, there's a message by the Cardinal of Lisbon. And after the preface, there is the first article is by Dr. Savia Viegas, who is an art historian. She's written about the pictures, titling it "Revisiting the Regist." Very interesting article that she gave me. One of the themes that runs across the book is the enthronement of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Now, this enthronement was a practice followed by a lot of households. And till today, if you go to their houses, you can see the images of Sacred Heart of Jesus, the two pictures of Immaculate Heart of Mary and Sacred Heart of Jesus. But what is the significance? Most people don't know. In my own house, after our daily rosary, we say the rosary of the Sacred Heart of Jesus every day. And I didn't know that it was something only in my house. When I visited cousins, or after getting married, when I went to my in-laws' place, I found that most people don't say this rosary. So then I was wondering why only we say this rosary. So now that theme runs. Later. Go back to my page. I think, yeah. So that is so Father uh, Father Avinash Ribello, he gave me a beautiful article on the enthronement. He explained what is the enthronement, why it was done. So that is one article. Another article is by the provincial of the Jesuits in Goa, Father Roland Coelho. He writes about the Epiphany. Then very important topic that one finds in this book is the indulgences. There are prayers, and if you say this prayers, you gain an indulgence. Now, what exactly are indulgences? Most people again may know, but there are detailed indulgences suited for different occasions. So, Dr. Reverend Sukur Mendes, who was a professor of indulgences, he used to teach indulgences in the seminary of Brashol. I approached him. He has given me an amazing article. And if you read that article, you get to know the whole mystery of indulgences. Then I have Dr. Alphonse Botelho, who is a professor of sociology at Xavier's. He told me that he could write about the sociology of the time, sociology of the pictures, and there's an article of his too over there. So there's a lot of articles there. And in the end of the book, there is an article by Oscar the Norona. He has written about the printing that was happening there, the brief history of printing, how the printing press was there first at St. Paul's College in 1556, etc. Very interesting article about the print scenery in Goa at that time. Also, what he did was he suggested to me that we write brief notes about the people who have actually offered these holy pictures. So he managed to dig and find a lot of context. He found some relatives, and the relatives commented. So it again makes it a little interesting when you, after going through the book, if you find a name of familiar name, you can always go to the back of the book, and you will find a whole kind of article. It's called the appendix, where he has written much about this. Now we begin with the book. Now the first picture is amazingly from 1890, and begins with coincidentally the battle between good and evil. Michael, the great archangel, battling the evil one, who in this case is shown not as a human being but as a dragon. The dragon theme is again spoken about in the Revelations when there's a vision of Mother Mary and a dragon. So that possibly has come here. The picture seems to be a little semicircular on top. Maybe it's cut by somebody, I don't know. But the beautiful, see the colors, everything in the picture. 1890, it's amazing. The next picture is of Immaculate Conception in 1895. Again, Immaculate Conception is seen standing, crushing the serpent's head. Now, when Eve was tempted by Satan, he took the form of a snake, and that snake was then cursed by God, saying that you will always be the enemy of the humankind. But so you can see the next Eve, the new Eve, that is Mother Mary. She is shown here as crushing the snake. You can see the snake being crushed by her. If you see the mantle worn by Mary here, it's not a plain blue mantle. It's a beautiful mantle with nice floral pattern. So each picture you can, kind of glance inside and go beyond the picture, of course, and then you turn on the reverse and you see the messages, you see the dates. There's something, the next page also is very interesting. It says, Association for Liberation of Souls Abandoned in Purgatory, The date is 1898. So that time people were very much concerned about what happened to abandoned souls in purgatory, and also that also for priests, because priests usually don't have children and no one prays for them after some time. So this was an association that was formed where people could become members, and they had to contribute, they had to buy a share, and with the share masses were said. So they used to cater to people from the purgatory, abandoned souls. So a very interesting concept, which is actually not there today, but would be interesting to revive actually. The next picture shows the Epiphany of Jesus. Now here the Epiphany, there is a small quotation there from Psalms 72 to 11. It says, "All kings will bow down before him, all nations will serve him." And the picture represents the three kings who are bowing down, and many people of different nationalities can be seen. And they are different nationalities because they are carrying flags, and that whole picture is seen in some amazing kind of a design. So a lot of art. I mean, to draw these people of different nationalities, and that amazing lot of thought process has gone into this picture. So amazing pictures that I've come across. To my left again, there is a picture of it. It looks like the generic picture of the representation of the Eucharist, but it happens to be the picture of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Now, during Eucharistic miracles, we have seen that when the host turns into the actual flesh, and upon examination, it is found that this flesh is of the heart. So naturally, the blood also which comes out has to be from the heart. So here we see a Sacred Heart of Jesus shown as a bleeding heart and bleeding into the chalice. So a very unique depiction. And on the reverse, surprisingly in English, there's a amazing poetry, beautiful poetry, which one can read when one gets the book. Again, to the right, I see Immaculate Conception in a different portrayal, different colors, different. The mantle is there, but collapsed together in a different way. The colors are different. Here are the representations of holy pictures given during the first mass of the priest. The same priest has given two different pictures here, interestingly. One is of the elevation of the host, and one is of the elevation of the chalice. The chalices are having so many details, and the sleeves of the priest also has some amazing details of art, of grapes, of corn. So the amount of thought that went into these representative images is amazing. There is Saint Joseph here. Again, it's a black and white picture. But very, very detailed emotions almost can be seen. He's hugging Jesus. There's, of course, the lily spray in his hands, but something very different. And on the reverse, in the form of a cross, there is a beautiful prayer to Saint Joseph. Here, Saint Michael is again shown, but the Satan, instead of the dragon, has become shown in the form of a human being with a tail and with wings. Conception, Our Lady of Conception is now shown in the form of the Sabine that travels house to house. You can see the rays emitting from her hands. When I was a child, I used to see this image of Sabine, and instead of they had depicted the rays by showing two golden there were actual golden rays coming out, physical gold. So I used to always wonder what exactly is she holding. Later, I realized that they are meant to be rays, and this picture told me exactly what exactly it is. So this is the Our Lady is wearing here the blue mantle, which is seen on this on that image of Sabine going around the houses. The depiction of the coronation of Our Lady, which is not seen too many places. Very nice depiction of Our Lady coronation. There's a picture of Saint Luis Gonzaga here to my right. Saint Luis Gonzaga, I think, is I have seen a chapel of his in Santa Cruz. Not heard of too much. I have not heard too much in Goa, but here there's a picture here of Saint Luis Gonzaga and a beautiful hymn for the saint. Again, beautiful pictures with lots of details. The picture of Savior, Savior of the world. With the back in the backdrop is the dome of Saint Peter's Cathedral. Here, Jesus is seen in a seated position, which is a very rare depiction. Normally, he is shown standing. To my left, there is the picture of Our Lady of Immaculate Conception. We can see her being lifted up by angels into heaven. This picture on my right shows a soul being lifted up to heaven. Now, when I was very little, I remember this image of angels carrying a body too. So it comforted me that after people died, angels actually came and took you up while your body was there. The soul, my elders explained to me that it is the soul that is being. So I was very comforted by this image actually, and I'm sure it is a source of comfort to still to many people when they see their loved ones. A unique image of Saint Rock, Saint Anthony, an image I have never seen anywhere. Him holding Jesus is a common image, but the angels under the feet of Jesus is something different. I have not seen that before. Incidentally, my grandfather scribbled his name on this picture in the right in pen. We see many time depiction of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, but here this picture shows Jesus talking to Margaret Mary Alacoque and pointing to his heart. And on the reverse side are all the promises that he has made to her. What happens to people if they are devoted to the Sacred Heart of Jesus, which is probably the basis of the enthronement of Jesus in people's homes. Jesus with infant Jesus with lambs and handwritten message behind. Many times these pictures were bought blank and used as communication pieces like postcards. They would be things written and it would be passed over. Like this. Another image of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. In some images, I find the images of Mary reflecting the names of Mary, which we repeat in the litany of Our Lady. An image of Saint Francis has come here. An early image of Saint Francis Xavier. A beautiful image here to my right about Mother Mary, and around her is, you can see, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. This is a vision given to Saint Gertrude about where she saw this image which talks about the mercy, the wisdom, and the power of Mother Mary. Very interesting prayer there, where you can pray every day for a good death. Time is running out. I think we are running out of time, so I'll hurry up slightly to come to my key point. This is a very interesting image which I found in the tin. It talks about the birthday of it was given out by my grandmother and on that day was commemorated the introduction of that is the enthronement of Jesus in my own house. So to commemorate the event, they brought out a holy picture. Now I can read there that it was offered by my grandmother, whose name is Maria Guillermina Monica Martins, and it was done on her birthday on the 4th of May in 1934. Now what happens is I suddenly remembered that I had seen some sketches came to my mind, and I'll show you the sketches. These are the two sketches. One sketch shows the image of Jesus, Sacred Heart of Jesus, So this image, and it's drawn by my grandfather, who has also signed the name and the date 1931. So in 1931, 3 years before the actual ceremony was planned, he designed this image and gave it for carving probably. So this is the image that is now found in my house. And to the right, I can see the whole altar. So he's designed the whole altar for the enthronement, for the place, the niche to place the image. The crown can be seen, and the niche has got rays emanating from itself. So this whole thing was again drawn by him, and in 1931. So so you can see how much preparation and planning has gone into this. So first he drew it. As an artist, he easily drew it. You can't see any lines of rubber, so he drew it. And after he drew it, he actually got it executed. It took him 3 years, and then finally we had the Sacred Heart of Jesus in our own house, enthroned in our own house with a new altar. The old altar in the background is older. So this is the new altar that is seen to the left. You can see the crown on the top. You can see the image of Jesus, which was just now they sketched, and the altar. The other two pictures are also seen, which are standard in all houses. The photographs of Sacred Heart and Immaculate Conception also. But the unique thing about this place is that there is a physical image. There's a solid image and the altar and the crown, which makes him the king. So this is what I found so interesting, that I could discover all this. My mother never told me all this. I discovered all this just through a picture and through some sketches. This picture shows. Okay, I can see here again to my left. After 1 year, they again had a function in the house where the first anniversary of the enthronement was celebrated. So it told me how serious people were during these rituals, and then how they went on saying the rosary after they made Christ the King, how the rosary was said. Until today, from 1934 till today, the rosary is faithfully said every day. Here is Saint Thomas in a very old image in black and white. And somewhere in Konkani, it is mentioned that he had come down to Goa. Now we'll have to read it properly to get the exact detail. Again, Saint Francis Xavier's image. There's an interesting image here of the photograph of Metropolitan Archbishop of Goa and Daman appointed. He was appointed to this office in 1931. His name was Teotonio Manuel Ribeiro Vieira de Castro. This archbishop was responsible for drawing the plans of the seminary, minor seminary in Saligao, and he also authorized the construction of Saint Joseph Vaz Sanctuary. These details are not mentioned here, but it's interesting to find a photograph of an old archbishop here in this collection, and some details of his which mark his certain key points in his life. Here, interesting, two pictures are very interesting. One commemorates a mass celebrated by the students of Instituto Abbe Faria, batch of 1943. So, my mother also was studying in that institute, so probably it's one of her pictures. But you can imagine if these people come across this picture, they'll be so thrilled to know that, okay, their names are there, the batch is there. That's how they connect with each other. And to the right is the picture which kind of shows the martyrs at Konkoli. A very beautiful picture showing the martyrdom at Konkoli. Again, to my right, there is a picture of Our Lady of Fatima, where I find there is a some written thing there, some fill in the blanks. In those fill in the blanks, my grandfather has mentioned that he, Pantaleao Fernandes, takes a pledge to say a rosary in our house every day. Now, when I saw this picture, due to my busy lifestyle, I had slackened down on the daily rosary. I used to come late at home. The rosary was being said. I would come late, not say the rosary. But when I saw this picture, I said, wow, my grandfather has taken the pledge, and I better keep it up. So the rosary has written back, and thanks to this holy picture. There is a beautiful image here of it's called Apostolate of the Sick. where people are encouraged in that picture at that time to offer all their sufferings to God. So whenever who are sick, they have to register, and from 12 to 3, they offer their sufferings to God, and these sufferings are then channelized for various other petitions. Very interesting concept where people know that they're suffering with a purpose. They accept that the suffering has come from God, and they welcome the suffering, and they offer it for some positive purpose. Another picture, this picture also I was surprised to see here. My father's uncle, his death anniversary. He was a priest. When I dug a little further, I found some books in my father's collection, where he was the editor of the Missal. So again, I could connect the dots, and I could complete a story. A picture with the image of purgatory. We're running out of time, so I am now just winding up. Yeah, this is the last picture of Saint Dominic Savio. This picture commemorates a mass that is offered by the staff of technical trading students in Panjim. So now this is the last picture. It's 1990. So I began in 1890 and I ended up in 1990. So if I have discovered these kind of ties within my family, which even my parents couldn't tell me, and there are many more things which are Vana we can't in half an hour I can't explain. So I'm sure that when people go through this book, they will come across names of their ancestors, their relatives, and they will kind of dig out, okay, when was this offered, where. So all I want, I'm hoping that people will take this book and use it to find out if there's any ancestor of theirs here. I also want people to encourage people to dig into their own family archives and find things. It could be holy pictures, it could be various other things that are there lying, and we don't value things in our own house, in our own backyard. So, but these things do have value. So I encourage people to look back at their things, see what they've got, see how they can bring it out into the public gaze so that others can also connect with it. And yes, so with these few words, I end my presentation.
Thank you so much, Pantaleao, for that very, very exciting, I should say, presentation, because there is so much that we could see and so much that we have yet to discover. So we need to look at the book more closely, to look at the holy pictures, to see if we have people whom we know feature somewhere in those holy pictures. There's so much to read about through those essays that have been written by scholars from Goa about the holy pictures in various contexts. Um, Before I ask you any questions, I will just check the chat box to see if there are questions. There are questions from Adil and Snehal. So to answer both your questions on where's the book available, the book is available with us at the Museum of Christian Art. Pantaleao, anywhere else?
The book is also available at Lighthouse in
Margao.
in Margao,
Okay.
and at Pilar there is a stall. So I basically kept this at places where people come for religious functions. So Pilar stall, it is available. It's available at the Old Goa stall, I think so. I've given it there, and yes, it's that's it.
Okay. Adil, you have a question. Is Saint Michael also depicted killing a dragon like Saint George? Would you like to answer that, Pantaleon?
I am not too familiar with Saint George, so but as I said, the dragon is spoken of in the Revelation, where the dragon tries to snatch away the newborn Jesus, the Savior. So I suppose that imagery has come from there. I'm not familiar with George, so I
Hmm.
can't comment much on that.
Okay. Yes, definitely. Adil, Saint Michael is shown slaying a dragon very often, and in the one case that Pantaleao showed us of the holy picture where it takes on a human form, but usually there is a depiction of a dragon. Uh, I have a question for you, Pantaleao. Uh, more on the personal lines of which, when you found these holy pictures, you told us, what excited you and how you came up with the book. But if I had to ask you, which was one of your favorites of these holy pictures and why is it? If we can just maybe show us some of the images and then, or if you can directly take us to your favorite one.
Actually, the favorite ones are right there on the screen now. In the middle is Mary looking at the body of her son. And I have seen some mothers look at the bodies of their sons, see the agony in their eyes. And I could see all this agony in the eyes of Mother Mary. See her hands in surrender. She is doing this with her hands, and he's dead. His eyes are closed, but it is in black and white, and it was my favorite. That's why it is in the middle of the on the cover of the book. So this is a picture as a picture because it talks a lot about what Mother Mary went through and during the season of Lent, I think we should all go through the same pain and kind of realize how much the Lent, what Lent it means to us. So this is a favorite picture. Again, to the right is a favorite picture because Jesus tells us that unless we become like children, we cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. And there he is with the children. They are very beautifully depicted. So this is my second best holy picture. And Queen of Virgins, pray for us. That is a line from the litany, which we say every day. So the best pictures I put on the front. And then the personally among the messages is of course the picture that shows my grandfather celebrating the enthronement of Christ in our house because that became personal because it was the 4th of May, which was the birthday of my grandmother. It was the day my brother was ordained, and it was the day I got married also. So it's running through as a favorite day. So that is the
That's really nice. The family legacy of the 4th of May,
yes.
thank you for sharing with us your favorite ones. If we had to categorize them, broadly, these holy pictures, like First Holy Communion, feast days, Thanksgiving masses, death anniversary masses, are these the broad categories, or are there any other categories that you
Yeah,
found the holy pictures for?
yeah, there is a holy picture which surprisingly talks about the lighting of the facade. Now, it is surprising that in those days, that I wonder how they were lighting it. I am still at odds to figure that out because this was pre-electricity days, and so there is a picture marking the lighting of the facade. There's
Hmm.
another picture which says that somebody celebrated mass at the tomb of Saint Francis Xavier. So it's mentioned this specifically. And somebody else has come up with a bright idea of making a greeting card on which he has pasted a picture of St. Francis Xavier. And it was sold for an exposition where people were invited. It is written that this card is touched to the altar or to the relics of St. Francis Xavier. So people were invited to take it and send it to their loved one as a greeting card. So these are some different kinds of themes that also I find there in
Hmm.
the in this collection.
Okay. Interestingly, when you showed us the picture of the Archbishop seated on a photograph, which is turned into a picture card of the Archbishop seated on a chair. I think it's the same chair which is currently in the Archbishop's palace on the first floor in the gallery of the paintings of the Archbishops, if I'm not mistaken. Can we just go back to that? Is it possible for us to just look at that
Uh,
image again?
yes, sure.
Will it be possible? Sorry to make you run through that. I'll also, after this question of mine, if you all can unmute yourselves and ask Pantaleao, we have time for Q&A, and let it be an interactive session. So if anybody wants to share or wants to ask Pantaleao any questions, let's do it directly also.
So this chair that is facing you now.
Yes. This one. I think it is the same one which is in the Archbishop's house in the first floor gallery of paintings.
Is
Yes.
this photograph there in the Archbishop's house? Have you
I'm
noticed?
not sure of the photograph. I'm talking about the chair still
Yeah, I know.
existing
Yes.
there. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know about a painting. Maybe there is. I've not paid attention. This is how old? 1939.
He was appointed in 1931. Yeah.
Yeah, so it will be there. Definitely, there are paint portraits of all the archbishops. So definitely he will be one among them. But I know the chair. I just recognize the chair. I thought I would just highlight that.
Mm.
Um, Somebody asked a question if the book is available online. We can ship it to you anywhere in the country, that is in India. So if you would like, anyone would like a copy, you can just send us a WhatsApp message or an email to the Museum of Christian Art, and we will contact you and tell you all the details about the book, about the shipping and the costs. Okay. Um, I'm throwing open the session for Q&A. You can unmute yourselves and ask Pantaleao any questions.
I think, Natasha, there's a message from Kevin
Sorry, Kevin, I missed that one.
in the chat.
What is
I
the
can read it myself.
Yeah. Kevin, you can
Maybe-
unmute yourself if you would like and talk to Pantaleao.
Yeah, Kevin, you can ask.
Hi, good evening. This is such a lovely presentation, and these are also things that I grew up seeing. But I don't live in Goa. I just want to know has this practice continued in Goa? What is the form of art people use today? How has it changed?
Okay.
The observations on
What is
that front?
happening is for the last 10 feasts of my own chapel, I've collected the cards, the holy pictures. And what happened was they are now morphed into what people take their mobile phones, they go to the image, which is the image of blessing, and they take a photograph of that and they just make it into a kind of a bookmark, and they give it as a card. So there is no they don't buy these images which were specifically drawn with themes. So these photographs are also clicked with mobile. So there is no kind of real, they're very badly clicked photographs. So you find that this practice is dying. So last year, I had gone in the chapel, photographed the main image of Our Lady of Patrocinium Chapel, and I had made a register, and I had given it to them. So they're hoping that instead of going for these longer cards or whatever, that this will continue. And this year, it has happened. That same image has been reproduced. Maybe somebody else photographed it, but the same design has been incorporated, and it has been given. But overall, you find some people are saying that there are no holy pictures given. Some people do this, what I said, they just use with their mobile phones and they give the images. So I am even offering anybody, if they want these images, I can give them scanned copies and they can use them for printing the images, so that we kind of have a continuity of these beautiful images which were brought from abroad, and hence the artists must be Italians, etc. These might be some huge paintings in churches which are then shrunk. So these images are not to be found otherwise in India. So it would be nice to keep them growing actually. So that's the status, Kevin.
And just a follow-up question. So, who funds these uh, cards, right? Like, so who pays for the printing of
Yeah,
these cards? And
initially,
is there any, like, for example, advertising or mentioning of the names of sponsors and things like that? How does that work in this
yeah,
context?
initially the feasts were always celebrated by some president. The person who celebrated the feast was called the president or murdom. It is all mentioned there on the back. So the president would sponsor everything of the feast, including the holy pictures, the band, the everything. So it was his duty to. So it was synonymous that it is done by him, and his name was mentioned behind. But as in the last couple of decades, they decided the archdiocese decided to make it a people's feast. So there used to be a contribution. So instead of giving it to one president where one person is in charge, the feast were being celebrated by the community. and the community contributed, and from that contribution, these cards were printed. And it was also mentioned that it is printed by the community. So that is the practice. So, but today, if someone wants to give, they can give it. They may or may not put their name. It's all voluntary, because nowadays people do donate a lot of stuff and they say well-wisher. So that practice continues. Sometimes people can mention the name, sometimes they don't mention the names, or then it is done by the committee, the public.
Thank you, Kevin, for your questions. Anyone else? Does anyone else have a question for Pantaleao? No questions? Pantaleao, anything else that you would like to share?
Just a thank you to all the people who joined in on this beautiful Saturday evening. It gives me a great pleasure that there are people who are still interested in knowing things like this, because the overall perception is people say we are not holy, we are not interested in holy pictures, book, etc. So when people do join in, they pay attention, they listen, it's heartwarming. Thank you. It encourages me to do similar projects, more similar projects. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pantaleao, for your love and passion in everything that you do, whether it's the Holy Pictures book or the Goa rare portraits, traditional occupations, all very special books that you've made documenting Goa's history, culture, art. And yes, to anyone who would like a copy of the book, we have it here at Mocha. You can always reach out to us and also contact Pantaleao for any further information that you would like on any holy pictures. And it has been a very great, enlightening session with you, Pantaleao. Thank you once again. Thank you to all of you who have joined us for today's session. Somebody has raised their hand, or am I looking at it right now? Maybe I am. Clayton. Clayton, do you have a question?
No, so I just thought I would just share a few thoughts of mine on the whole session. Actually, basically, if you look at today's world, you find a lot of webinars happening on increasing your funds or your monetary, your accounts, and all these things which are used to propagate for their own benefit. But here I thought this was something which is very, very different to share on the rich culture and heritage of Goa, which is slowly dying out. And I would love to, to keep this heritage. I did have some holy pictures, but hey, my shifting of my residence, I can't find them. But I was telling my wife Sandra, who was also in the call, I also had some holy pictures. But it's nice to know that this rich, it's one of the unique ways of sharing the culture and heritage of Goa. I think, Pantaleao, thank you very much. I think it's really appreciated that way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your feedback, Clayton. Thank you. It's very important. And this is what we try to do at Mocha as well. Talk about topics related to Goa's history, art, culture, our heritage, in whichever form it is in, and the people who are contributing towards preserving this heritage. So today was with Pantaleao. We do it in different fields, whether it's conservation, even not only related to Christian art, but we also look at Goa in general, like we did the month before, we did on talking about birds in Goa. So we're looking at different aspects of our heritage and also focusing on Christian art in a large way. So thank you very much for your feedback, and I hope you will join us for our future sessions. And once again, thank you to all of you. Thank you very much, Pantaleao.
Thank you, Natasha.
Have a great evening and a great Christmas season. Thank you.